Tonight, the desperate search underway after a deadly weekend of flash floods. Rescuers searching by ground and air for two young children swept away. Their mother and at least four others in the flash flooding killed after torrential rains in Pennsylvania. Stories of survival as well. How others managed to make it out of the rushing water. Plus, the relentless, dangerous hot weather in the Southwest after weeks of temperatures well over 100. Hospitals at crisis levels with so many suffering from heat sickness. Also tonight, new details about that alleged serial killer on Long Island. Dozens of guns found in his home, the evidence investigators are poring over from a storage unit search. An Alabama woman disappears, prompting an intense search, then returns home after 2 days. The mystery and mounting questions, and the message from her mother. A vital bridge from Russia attacked and damaged again. Was Ukraine behind it? New challenges for the DeSantis campaign. A dozen staffers fired as the campaign burns through cash. And would Americans support a third-party presidential candidate? The home insurance crisis in Florida and beyond. Why are so many policies being canceled? And some insurance rates more than doubling.
This is NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt.
Good evening, everyone. It's good to be back with you on this Monday night. In this summer of extremes, the weather on the minds of so many tonight, trying to recall if they've ever seen conditions so bad. The answer would be a resounding no for many living in the Southwest, suffering under a long-duration, triple-digit heat wave. Right now, roughly 76 million people are under heat alerts from California to South Florida. Dozens of cities seeing new records, including Las Vegas, Phoenix, and El Paso, which is now in its 32nd day of 100-plus temperatures. The Northeast trying to recover from torrential and deadly rainfall. In Pennsylvania, the search intensifying for two small children swept away in raging floodwaters on Saturday. Their mother among the 5 confirmed dead. It's where we start tonight with Kathy Park.
Tonight, the search intensifying in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, for 2-year-old Maddie Shields and her 9-month-old brother, Conrad. The siblings visiting from South Carolina were torn from their family and swept away in these fierce floodwaters Saturday.
We ask that you continue to pray for the return of Conrad and Mattie and for the safety of all those committed to bringing them home to us.
Crews tripling their resources today, looking for any sign of the children.
We had air assets in the air as well as drones. We also had cadaver dogs, search and rescue dogs.
Officials say their grandmother was found alive, but their mother, 32-year-old Katie Seeley, is now among the 5 killed in the flash floods.
These people did not drive into high water. They were caught. This was a flash flood.
The relentless rain rose so quickly, cars were pulled with the rushing waters, trapping drivers.
Saw cars floating, saw a Jeep flipped over. It was like nothing I've ever seen.
Some spots picking up nearly 3 inches of rain in 1 hour. This resident capturing the chaos outside her house.
It was a river that went past here. It was probably 3 feet above. There is no way anybody would survive this.
The punishing storms also battered other parts of the Northeast, still recovering from catastrophic floods last week. Back in Bucks County, even neighbors joining the efforts to find the missing.
These little kids are somewhere. They're either in the canal path or in the Delaware River, but the community, that's what they're focused on. They want to find these little kids.
Kathy, how is the weather impacting search efforts now?
Well, Lester, fortunately, there was no rain in the area today, so weather was certainly on their side. Tomorrow it could be a much different story. Heavy showers are in the forecast, so that could lead to some new challenges. Lester?
Kathy Park, thank you. And much of the rest of the country, it's the start of yet another week of scorching, potentially record-breaking heat, with hospitals seeing a surge of people suffering in this dangerous weather. Erin McLaughlin is in Phoenix for us tonight.
Tonight, the deadly heat dome tightening its grip, fueling fires in California and making history in the Southwest. Phoenix a day away from smashing a 47-year-old record. Tonight marking 18 straight days with highs 110 plus, with scorching temps expected through the week. Straining the city's essential services, firefighters going from call to call.
She was hot to the touch.
Tonight, more than 70 million people under heat alerts across 15 states. In San Diego, a mountain biker died trying to help heat-exhausted hikers. And in Utah, this harrowing rescue. First responders airlifting a hiker who collapsed under the scorching sun. Back in Phoenix, the city's largest hospitals reaching crisis levels treating heat-related illness.
Our waiting room is filled with people with heat and heat-related illness. They just want to get in from the heat.
Nationwide, more people die from heat than any other extreme weather event, including hurricanes. A fact not lost on the nation's delivery drivers. Scott Stevens and Dan Garcia have been delivering packages for UPS, shifts lasting 8 to 12 hours a day in 110 plus without air conditioning.
If you're driving with the sun coming in, we have fans, but you know, this time of year, the fans is like a blow dryer hitting you in the face. I don't even turn them on.
How hot is it inside your truck?
It's hot enough to bake cookies and hamburgers.
In June, UPS announced plans to ensure all newly purchased trucks come with air conditioning. Elsewhere, it's the air that's the problem, with 85 million Americans under air quality alerts in Chicago, New York City, and Cleveland, as parts of Canada continue to burn. It all amounts to a summer of suffering, with more on the way.
And Aaron joined me now from a hydration station in Phoenix where it's 115 degrees. Aaron, we all get uncomfortable in that kind of weather, but talk for a minute about heat exhaustion. What are the signs?
Well, Lester, according to the CDC, the signs of heat exhaustion are headache, nausea, and dizziness. The CDC also says that if you're working in these kinds of extreme temperatures, you should drink at least 24 fluid ounces of water an hour, which is roughly equivalent to the size of this bottle. Lester?
All right, Aaron McLaughlin tonight. Thank you. New details are emerging this evening as investigators examine more evidence related to the Long Island man charged with killing 3 women in the so-called Gilgo Beach killings. Stephanie Gosk reports.
Today on Long Island, police are not letting up, searching a storage unit possibly connected to the Gilgo Beach murders, just across the bay from where the bodies were found over a decade ago. Investigators are also poring over evidence removed from the suspected serial killer's home over the weekend, including dozens of guns.
The house is cluttered, and we're going to go inch by inch through that house. We're going to get everything.
59-year-old Rex Heuermann is being held without bail after pleading not guilty to murdering Megan Waterman, Melissa Barthelemy, and Amber Costello, all young women in their 20s who worked for escort services. Police recovered key DNA back in 2010, but all they had was hair.
The only DNA you can get is mitochondrial DNA rather than the traditional DNA that you get from traditional DNA testing.
And that science today is a lot better than it was over 10 years ago.
Certainly in 2010, absolutely.
Police also needed a suspect. Witnesses described a large man over 6 feet tall. One said he drove a Chevrolet Avalanche.
It's a collaboration between...
The DA says they identified Heuermann and a DNA match was made, with some help from this discarded pizza box.
We have a lot of pieces that when put together, I think they tell a story, and that certainly is a key piece.
Among the allegations in court documents, Melissa Barthelemy's family received multiple taunting phone calls. A male caller admitted killing and sexually assaulting her. Police say Heuermann spent time online searching child pornography, sadism, and the Gilgo Beach investigation. But the developments in the case weren't made public. He likely had no idea they were closing in.
And Stephanie joined me here in the studio with a late-breaking development. They've apparently found a vehicle linked to the killings.
Yeah, Lester, they found that Chevy Avalanche down in South Carolina. It's going to be brought back up here to New York to be processed. It's important because they have a witness who says that one of the victims was last seen getting into a car just like it.
Fascinating detective work we're watching here. All right, Stephanie, thanks. And there was a mystery this evening in Alabama. What happened to a woman who told police she saw a young child on a highway and then disappeared for 2 days? Priscilla Thompson has that story.
Tonight, the demand for answers surrounding the mysterious disappearance of Carly Russell is growing. The 25-year-old nursing student returned home Saturday night after she was reported missing for more than 48 hours. Her mom sharing on social media, "God is faithful and he has answered our prayers," thanking the public for their support and vowing to ignore negative opinions. It comes as there are mounting questions about the circumstances of Russell's disappearance. Late Thursday, Hoover police say Russell called 911 to report a toddler walking alone on the interstate. Police now analyzing this surveillance video, which they believe shows Russell's car. They say she pulled over to check on the child while on the phone with a family member who heard the unimaginable.
She heard a scream and then some type of running type shuffle.
Within minutes, police say they were on the scene.
Just be advised, her vehicle is unlocked, running, all her personal belongings except for her phone.
Police arrived and said they found Russell's car, cell phone, and purse, but no sign of her or a child, adding that no child has been reported missing. Then on Saturday night, Russell showed up on her family's doorstep, alone and on foot, police say. Angela Harris, who led search efforts on the ground, says she spoke to Russell's mom moments after she returned.
I just broke down and I said, "Is she okay?" And she said, I don't know, she seems to be okay. She just seems to be in shock.
Medics responded and took her to the hospital for evaluation, police say. She was released Sunday morning. A man identifying himself as her boyfriend writing on social media. She was literally fighting for her life for 48 hours, adding she is not able to give any updates or whereabouts on her kidnapper.
Police declined to comment on that post, but say they have spoken with Russell and plan to interview her again in the coming days. Lester?
All right, Priscilla, thank you. For the second time in less than a year, a vital bridge linking Russia to occupied Crimea was attacked today. Kira Simmons joins me. Kira, I know you know this bridge very well from firsthand reporting in the region. There's obviously a military impact here, but there must be a psychological one as well.
That's right, Lester. In President Putin's mind, this is an emotional as well as strategic target. It's been his pet project for a decade and is a supply line for Russian troops in Ukraine. Tonight, Russia says the Kerch Bridge is partially reopened, the damage less extensive than last October, but 2 civilians are dead and a girl is injured. President Putin calling it a terrorist attack and vowing revenge, even while Russia continues to purge its military after last month's mutiny. Ukrainian media reporting Ukraine did carry out the strike using a drone, but the government hasn't confirmed that. Meanwhile, right now, overnight in Europe, Russia is pulling out of the Black Sea grain deal, a food lifeline for many countries, Lester.
And I understand Russia is using food for blackmail. Now, that's the accusation.
That's exactly the accusation.
Right. Kira, thanks very much. And the FAA is investigating why an emergency slide fell out of a United Airlines jet today near Chicago's O'Hare Airport. The slide came down in a neighborhood near the airport. The 767 with 165 people on board landed safely. The FAA says maintenance workers then discovered the slide was missing. United said it immediately contacted the FAA and was working to figure out how it happened. Also tonight, the derailment of a freight train outside Philadelphia. Officials say 15 of the 40 cars on the CSX train jumped the tracks. Although some of the cars were carrying chemicals, authorities say there were no hazardous spills. The cause is under investigation. 6 months before the Iowa caucuses, Donald Trump's chief rival for the Republican presidential nomination is struggling. Ron DeSantis' campaign is burning through cash, and Von Hilliard reports there's new talk tonight of serious third-party challengers with questions about candidates in both major parties.
Tonight, a shakeup for Ron DeSantis' campaign. The Florida governor fired about a dozen staffers last week, with more layoffs possible. It comes as NBC News is first to report new financial records show his team spending millions with little to show for it.
We always knew with these national polls that was a sugar high.
And with polls suggesting the prospect of a Biden-Trump rematch seeming more likely, some voters are willing to consider something different.
I mean, we need someone in the middle.
We need somebody that's going to help unite the world that we're in right now.
Democrat Joe Manchin, the West Virginia senator, known for often bucking his party, openly flirting with a White House run as an independent.
Are you taking it off the table?
We're not taking anything off the table. Let's see where everybody goes. Let's see what happens.
Manchin publicly joining the organization No Labels in New Hampshire today. The group is launching a massive $70 million effort to create a third-party presidential campaign, a bipartisan ticket with a Democrat and a Republican joining forces. Former Utah Governor, Republican John Huntsman, also hit the road with the group today.
For us to do the same old thing is like a little bit insane.
The group will not say who else is under consideration. Nancy Jacobson is the leader of No Labels.
This is the one moment that this could be possible. So why not give people a choice if they don't want these two choices?
But many, well opposed to a second Trump presidency, fear a third-party ticket could siphon votes from Biden and boost Trump. William Galston helped found No Labels 13 years ago, but he left the group in April.
Don't think that I wasn't tempted by it, because I was. But in the end, and as a Democrat, I felt I had no choice
but to walk away.
Yeah.
No Labels says it intends to qualify for the ballot in all 50 states before its convention next April. That's when the group says it could announce its ticket. Lester?
Vaughn Hilliard, thank you. In 60 seconds, the new treatment just approved to protect the youngest kids from RSV after last year's serious outbreak. What you need to know ahead of the fall. We've got some important news to share tonight for the parents of young children. The FDA has just approved a drug that can protect them from respiratory virus known as RSV. Tom Costello joins us with details. Tom.
Yeah, this is going to be big news for parents of newborns and infants, children who are vulnerable to severe respiratory infections, including those with congenital heart disease or preemies with breathing or lung problems. They could receive a second dose during their second RSV season. This now FDA-approved drug is called Beyfortus, already approved in Europe, the UK, and Canada. If the CDC agrees with the FDA's recommendations, the injections could be available by the fall. Now, most children are infected with RSV by the age of 2, usually mild symptoms, but in some cases, it can cause pneumonia, leading to 80,000 hospitalizations, 300 deaths a year. Results showed this new treatment lowered the risk of a serious respiratory illness in infants by nearly 75%. Lester?
All right, Tom, thank you. Up next, the growing insurance crisis in one state as companies pull out. Are homeowners left priced out? We have reported on the insurance issues plaguing Florida. As more insurers pull out of the state, many homeowners are being left with difficult decisions, and it's now become an issue on the presidential campaign trail. Gabe Gutierrez is in Florida.
68-year-old Tina Zaro has paid off her home in Lake Worth, Florida, and is living off Social Security. But her home insurance has skyrocketed by a whopping 130%.
It's very scary, but what do you do? It's crazy, just crazy.
Now, when her policy expires at the end of the year, she'll drop it because she says she can't afford it, leaving her family even more worried about the next hurricane.
Well, I want everything for my mom. Don't make me cry. I wish I could wave a magic wand and make it perfect.
The issue taking center stage over the weekend as former President Trump attacked Florida Governor Ron DeSantis.
Because you have the highest insurance in the nation.
Last week, Farmers Insurance said it would stop renewing almost a third of its policies in Florida, affecting about 100,000 customers. AAA also says it would not renew some policies.
It's a national problem, but we have seen no solutions to deal with inflation or interest rates out of Washington, D.C.
Jimmy Petronas is Florida's chief financial officer and a DeSantis ally. He blames the problem on what he calls woke insurance companies with liberal executives.
You believe that this has something to do with woke policies instead of a plain old-fashioned business decision?
100%. The woke policies that these corporations embrace are them not having their eye on that target.
Some insurers in other disaster-prone states like California and Louisiana have also pulled coverage. Analysts say there are several reasons: extreme weather linked to climate change, a soaring number of lawsuits by policyholders, and ongoing battles with state regulators.
We're going to have another legislative session next year. If we have to tweak things in order to make it more compatible and helpful for the Florida consumer, we'll do it.
The DeSantis administration is touting that another major insurer, State Farm, has recommitted to the state. Lester?
All right, Gabe, thanks. And that's Nightly News for this Monday. Thanks for watching. I'm Lester Holt. Please take care of yourself and each other. Good night. Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.